Have you ever wandered through the woods late at night, been spooked by the hoot of an owl or the wind whistling through the trees? Most of us know to stay away from such places as night descends. So what compelled three young men to venture deep into the overgrowth on a chilly October night? And what became of them? I'm Chuck Savage, and this is one case of video game obsession that ended in a bloody game over. Tonight, we'll play you the contents of a mysterious blood-covered cassette tape discovered deep within the woods, seemingly abandoned in a hurry by the three unlucky men who ran out of extra lives before their game had even started. Take a listen and see if you can unravel the mystery in tonight's episode of Unexplained Mystery Files.
Hello and welcome to the Retro Odyssey. I'm your host Ryan, joined by your co-hosts and my co-hosts too, Matt and Steven.
Hello.
Hello.
How's this last month treated y'all? It's been a month already?
It's been about 3 weeks since we last recorded, actually.
Wow. It's been screaming by.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just basically working.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it.
Too much working. Straight up.
I did actually find myself going down a YouTube rabbit hole.
Boy, those are my favorite.
Like, over the past month or so. And now I'm getting a tarantula.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's how that works.
So I've had a tarantula before. What are you getting?
Green bottle blue.
Oh, those are pretty.
Yeah, it's got like blue legs, green carapace, and orange abdomen.
I had it's a rose something or a something rose. This was years and years ago.
Rose hair?
Yeah. And they're very spider. They're not very active. I read later that it's like owning a pet rock.
Yeah. Some of the species are like that. The green bottle blue is a little more skittish, but it is recommended as like one of the beginner species. You've just kind of like got to be a little bit more aware than with some other species.
Yeah, like with the rose hair, the guy got it from. He's just like, he goes, they're not super active. He goes, he says, you can literally go and put this tarantula on the wall and walk away and come back, and it will probably have not even moved like one leg. He says they are very docile. I was like, okay, I'm not going to put it on the wall and leave. But it's nice to know that I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, the good thing about the green bottle blue is they really like to really web up their enclosures. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not getting it till like after Christmas. Going to use like a lot of my Christmas money. But yeah, I just went down this YouTube rabbit hole. Like, I was watching cat videos, which if you have an internet connection, you know, obviously you're going to be watching cat videos. And that kind of transitioned into animal memes. And that somehow transitioned into tarantula feeding clips. And I've spent the last, in fact, I think it's been about a month and a half just watching a shitload of tarantula videos. So I decided to get one.
They're fucking cool. They're really cool.
Yeah, the green bottle blue, the price does fluctuate quite a bit because they're kind of hard to breed. Because more often than not, the female will just eat the male.
Well, he knows what he did.
Yeah.
Now, are the because I know like there's the two greater classifications of like what it's like old world tarantulas and
New World.
Yeah, New World tarantulas, and I don't remember which one it is. Will flick hairs.
The New World will flick a lot of hairs generally. The Old World ones are generally really nasty and will not. They don't recommend them for beginners because they are just absolute bastards. The Old World ones, and they're very fast. But the New World ones can be like quite defensive.
And I'm assuming that this is a New World.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you have to share videos and pictures when you get it, because it's always fascinating to me. Like, I've had a couple odd animals. I've had reptiles, what are they? Bearded dragons, and bearded dragons are just an absolute joy because they're dumb as rocks.
Yeah, my sister used to have one.
So, like, the little one, so they do this thing when they're trying to intimidate and establish dominance, where they'll bob their head up and down, and they'll aggressively bob their head up and down, and that's how it's a basically I don't know, some sort of display of dominance. I don't know like how that works, like how that translates, but it does. And then if one submits, they'll like wave their front hand. They don't back off. They'll just wave their front hand, like basically acknowledging, like, "Yep, I'm standing down." Anyway, so this little baby fucking bearded dragon, he gets up on his stick and gets up right on the glass where he can see his reflection. And he starts just bobbing his head fucking mad. Just, he is going to town. He has seen himself and he is mad. He is very pissed at himself. And he's bob. And I'm just standing there and I'm watching, and I'm laughing because he's trying to intimidate himself. That alone is funny. So he's bobbing his head, and then he just stops. After like 30, 40 seconds of just vicious head bobbing, he stops, and then he waves his hand. And he waves his hand a couple times, and I'm losing my shit at this point because he has just lost to himself. And apparently he didn't take mutual standing down very well, because then he just attacks the glass. They're not very smart, but they are cute as hell. I've had a snake too, so yeah, I've definitely been all around the weird animal. But I gotta say, people are weird about, like, oh, why would you have a tarantula as a pet? Because it's cool. Why would you have a snake as a pet? Because they're cool.
They're really low maintenance as well. I mean,
it is. They're super low maintenance.
They only eat like 2-3 times a week.
Well, why do you have a dog? Because they're infinitely loyal? Oh, wait. Never mind.
So yeah, that'll be after Christmas. Gonna try and get a female because they live like 4 times as long as the males.
What's the lifespan on a tarantula like that anyway?
They say female about up to 20 years.
Good God, I never thought about it like that. That's
a male.
ridiculous.
A male would be about 4 or 5.
20, of course, obviously 20 years in captivity, but Jesus Christ, because I know it's like, oh, how long do snakes live? Long enough.
Yeah.
They live long enough. And then you're like, oh, people who like dedicate to getting tortoises and stuff like that. It's just like, wow, you just dedicated to an animal that can live like 130 years. So good job. And parrots, like, man, this is way on back, but like, there was an old lady who had a pet parrot. And I was just thinking, like, man, she's probably had that bird forever, and that bird is going to outlive her. Like, I thought about that later. Like, that bird's going to live like 80, and she's like 65. She's like already 65, and that bird's going to go for a long time. And I think that's rude, leaving a pet alone, dying without your pet. Well, that sounds wrong. Like, I'm not gonna entomb myself with my pet like an Egyptian. Like, come on, Fido, it's time to go. Anyway, long story short, tarantulas are cool. Yeah. And I look forward to social media feed on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Just fuck Twitter up. Just fuck Twitter up with your spider. What about you, Steven? You gonna get a spider? Because I think we should all get spiders now.
Nah.
Okay, fine. You seem more like a dog guy anyway.
So I really like dogs. I grew up with dogs, but right now I just have a cat. Mostly because my wife can't handle the fluffier animals. And like even like we've got a short hair cat, but even 2 animals sets it off for her. So we're kind of limited on what we can do in that regard.
Oh, is she like allergic to the hair?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, like if we go to my mom's, she'll struggle because my mom has a really, really fluffy dog. So we're basically limited to the one cat, unless we could get a hypoallergenic dog. Like one of my mom's dogs is straight up hypoallergenic, doesn't set her off at all. Unless we got one like that, but she likes cats better anyway. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess you could get a Sphinx.
Yeah.
I hear that Sphinx cats are like the only cat that nobody has allergies to, because it's like some people are like, oh, I'm allergic to pets, and it's like, well, you're allergic to like the dander. So like, there's a lot of cats that have like short hairs that don't do dander, and it's like these are, again, they're hypoallergenic, and dogs too. And then like, no, I'm like literally allergic to the hair itself, so you can't. And then it's like, then you need a Sphinx cat, and I'm like, but it looks like a penis.
No, I think they look cute.
That is a walking penis. So
anyway, welcome to our new pet podcast.
Yeah, right. the Retro Odyssey. Wait, no, that's more like no. Well, if we have to stay on topic, then I finally got 120 sprites in Mario Sunshine just last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went and got the last 3 blue coins I needed, and then I went and I burned about 30 fucking lives on the goddamn bonus stage where you have to scoot around the lily pad on the water, where the water instantly kills you. I don't know. It's in Delfino Plaza. It's a pipe in Delfino Plaza that you go and get your bonus sprite, and it's just, it's hard because it's actually flowing water. It's not just scooting around. Once you start moving, you have to make like micro adjustments, and it's a pain in the ass.
Was it you or Adam that were saying that is like the worst star in the game?
I mean, honestly, at this point, it's probably both, because the pachinko machine is really annoying. But it's not.
It's fine.
The pachinko machine is annoying, but it's not the worst one, because this one is one mistake and you just die. At least with the pachinko machine, you can make a certain number of, or a certain type of mistakes as many times as you want, and you can just take another shot at it.
Yeah.
This one it's all or nothing every single pass. And I find, like, before I had spent like 30 lives just trying to get it, and then I came back last night, I'm like, well, I got my blue coins out of Pianta Village, and I gotta go and do this last sprite, so I'm gonna go. I went and got that last sprite, and I got it in like 5 tries. And then I went and I have the clip up on Twitter now. I just went and cashed in all 240 blue coins at once to bring my total to 120. Mm-hmm. And that was just really nice to do that. This is the second time I've 100%ed Mario Sunshine. The first time only took me 14 years. This one took me about 2 weeks. And I think that's really all what the fuck else have I been playing? Played a little COD. My friend and I homed our Xboxes, and I've been playing COD with them. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, I haven't played Steve in Smash Bros. Yet.
I haven't either.
Like, I've been watching videos, and I'm super stoked, and I literally just haven't put Smash Bros. Into the Switch. So, I don't know what my problem is.
I've been playing a bit more Final Fantasy X. I'm not like super far in. I've just beaten the Chocobo Eater, which isn't like super far in.
Mm-hmm.
It's after the Blitzball match, which I did not like. A lot of people rave about Blitzball. It's maths with graphics.
Mm-hmm.
That's
basically is.
Yeah. And I ended up just losing. No one was scoring any goals for like 3 rounds in a row. And I just kind of like put my controller down and was like, I'm just going to let the computer win. Because I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I am slowly making progress in that. I've not been on it much the past 2 weeks or so, because Final Fantasy XIV got a new patch, and we have this new instance zone called the Bosnian Southern Front, and it's really good. It's kind of like you've got like a lot of like world quests and stuff that you can join in, and you've got like really difficult single encounters which you can like join up with and join a group for. And there's a red chocobo which has just been massacring everyone. I have personally gone into the red chocobo fight 3 times, and it's been a wipe all 3 times. But I have seen people complete it, but I've not been able to yet. But it's a really interesting zone. It's got some really fantastic music from Final Fantasy 12 in it, and it kind of like ties into a lot of the Final Fantasy 12 story. It's set in like Dalmasca, well, near Dalmasca, and it's got like its own leveling system in the zone. It's just a lot of fun. It is some of the best group content that they've created for a long time.
Nice. Yeah, I like so when I first heard about the Red Chocobo, I had to go like look into it and find out what was going on, because the specific Red Chocobo thing being referenced here is Final Fantasy Tactics, and I think also 12 has it, is a red chocobo that you can fight, and it kills everyone with meteors. But when I think of red chocobo, I think of Final Fantasy 13-2, where there's actually 2 types of red chocobos. One of which, when you ride it, has the best chocobo music I've ever heard, because it's the chocobo thing, but metal. So I had to look and see which red chocobo they were talking about, and it turns out it was the meteors.
It does the meteors on like the diagonals in a clockwise motion, whilst you've got to avoid other stuff on the cardinals. And there's AoEs going off at various places as well. It's super difficult, but the zone as a whole is a lot of fun. So I've spent most of my playtime doing that. I have been on Binding of Isaac a little bit. I finally got greedier mode kills on Eden and Azazel, but aside from that, I've not done anything else.
Awesome. I don't think I've actually gotten any greedier mode kills.
I've only done Azazel, Eden, Isaac, and Lilith.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had to have gotten to Lilith.
Mm.
Yeah, I've unlocked greedier mode, and I've gotten greed kills with most of them, but I don't think I've gotten any greedier mode kills. But I also don't play Binding of Isaac as consistently as you do. It's kind of, I'll play relentlessly for 3 months and then stop.
Generally speaking, it's kind of like when I do eventually turn off Final Fantasy 14, which does happen occasionally, I'll usually think I've got 20 minutes spare. I'll just jump in and do one quick run on Binding of Isaac. I've not done a normal run for ages. It's just been greed mode recently.
Oh, there's a lot there. So
yeah, but I mean the expansion is coming out in December, so I'm sure I'll be going back into the regular modes then.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, like basically playing the same stuff I talked about last time: Final Fantasy VII Remake, Legend of Dragoon, Destiny 2. That's basically it.
The standard run.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake is still great. Legend of Dragoon is still incredible. Destiny is, Destiny, and whether it's good or not is kind of up to each person to figure out for themselves.
It is true. This is true.
Although I will hear no arguments about Dragoon. Like, the game is amazing.
You're amazing. Call me.
I mean, if you want me to peace out for a few minutes.
No, baby, I like it when you watch.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, that being said, got all caught up for the month. We want to talk about some retro news and maybe some not retro news if we have a little bit of that too.
Yeah, there's a few news stories this week, this month rather, and I think we actually need to retitle the news section to "Fucking Nintendo."
Yeah, probably.
Because every month, Nintendo pulls some shit. This particular shit that they've dropped, it might not be entirely on them, to be fair, but it probably is. Fire Emblem, which is a tactical RPG series, very popular. The very first game is coming out on Nintendo Switch, reasonably priced, £5.39 or $6 for the digital version, and a really, really nice collector's edition for, I think, about $50, which has like replica NES cart and manual and big book in it, and just really, really nice kind of thing. And all of it is going away on March the 31st. Digital as well.
Why?
The same as the Mario 3D games, all going away on March 31st. Unless Nintendo knows something that we don't about April. Like, I have no idea. I mean, I can understand the collector's edition being limited. Like,
it's a collector's edition.
You do one print run, and then when it's gone, it's gone.
Yes.
But why would you take the digital version down? I mean, this is basically what we were saying like last month about the Mario games. But why? I mean, I would have bought the collector's edition because that collector's edition is really nice. It's a lot more affordable than most collector's editions are.
Yeah.
And I really would have liked that, but just the limited stuff, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. So I choose to not buy into that. I mean, I've got nothing against people who do buy that. You know, you buy what you want; it's your money. But for me personally, I'll just not touch that now, which is a shame because it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is the advertising they're doing is a little misleading because I actually had someone text me and be like, "Hey, they're releasing the first Fire Emblem game on Switch. Marth's game will finally be in English." I'm like, we already have an English version of Marth's game. It was, released on the DS in 2009. And but the original NES or Famicom version has never been released here, and that's what they're talking about. But, it's still confusing people.
Yeah, it is. It is the first English release for that particular version of the game. And yeah, it looks pretty solid, honestly. And like I said, the series is really, really popular. If you want to hear, I will take no argument on this. Literally the best boss music ever. The most recent Fire Emblem game, which I believe is called Three Lords.
Three Houses.
Three Houses. Check out God Shattering Star. That is the best boss music ever for anything. Seriously, it is. It is just fantastic, and yeah, it's a really popular series. But Sega saw all this kind of Nintendo limited release action, and they decided, hey, we want to do that as well. So they released for one single day a cancelled Golden Axe prototype, which is basically just one level. It was only available on Steam for free for one single day, and then they removed it from Steam.
There's a whole mess of drama along with that.
Yeah, I mean, I did add it to my Steam library. I did download it. Then when I saw that the prototype had been created under some rather abusive crunch conditions, I decided I'm not even going to play this, and I just deleted it again. Mm-hmm. But it's why? I know it's not a full game, but why release it for one day?
Because fuck you, that's why. Because Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Well, Sega does what Nintendo currently does over and over again at the minute.
What, you want 3-4 months to release a game? We can do it in one day. That's that blast processing.
I don't know if it's any good. I've not played it. I did check to see if it was still playable after it came down off the store, and it is. So if you did add it to your Steam library, then you do have it for good, apparently.
Hooray.
There's a couple of other bits of news with some retro mini console style kind of things. You have the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, which is an SNK device, which is it's basically like a fight stick with a load of fighting games built in.
Oh, is it like that really, really fucking awful Capcom stick that had games on it?
No, apparently this is like a really good quality micro switch,
Okay.
like joystick. And if you want to see like a full review of it, like Ashens did a full review of it a couple of days ago on his YouTube channel. If you're into fighting games, it looks pretty solid, and apparently you can get. It's really easy to kind of like add new games to it as well, and they kind of like built in functionality for that, as well as like 4 additional buttons, which the Neo Geo doesn't really use. So they've added these 4 extra buttons just in case you do have games that will utilize them. It looks quite nice. It's like a nice oblong grey fight stick, and it is I think it's about $129. Yeah, $129.99. That's coming out on the 11th of November. So if you want fighting games, if you like fighting games, then that seems pretty solid. The fact that it's $130 for 20 games, there are probably better deals.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can keep slapping games on there, I guess it's not that bad, especially for like, I mean, okay, so I get it. I really like if it's a very good stick and you can play all these games with a very good stick. Fight sticks aren't cheap. A good fight stick is not cheap because they can withstand a lot more abuse than, say, a Xbox controller. And often on good fight sticks, your parts are interchangeable, like replaceable. So if you do have a button that fails, you can just go get a new button, and it's plug and play.
One of the things that Ashens did say in his video, actually, he didn't like the buttons. He said the joystick was perfect, but the buttons weren't great quality.
I wonder if they're standard, so you can just go get new ones.
He said it's kind of like the slightest touch on a button will like register an input.
Ooh.
So you don't have like a lot of travel on them. He said it's probably not worth the price for him, but if you're into that kind of thing, maybe you can swap out the buttons, and I believe you can actually plug in like controllers as well, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, they actually sell controllers as accessories.
Speaking of controllers, Retro Fighters has successfully funded a wireless Brawler 64. We've gushed about the Brawler 64 here earlier.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. The first wave, I don't remember how long the cord was on it for the gray one, and just the first generation of it that they put out. But then the second generation, when they added more colors, they put like another 1.5 feet on the cable. And it makes all the difference. And now they're just like, wait a minute. But cables are so yesteryear. So now they have a Bluetooth. I think it's Bluetooth? Or it might be proprietary wireless, which would be a little less wow. It'd be a little less wow that way.
I don't know. I know it's got a dongle that it comes with.
Mm-hmm. That plugs into your N64.
And the dongle is what the controller pack actually plugs into.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that why it looks the way it does?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Hey, does this mean that I can put a rumble pack on my N64?
No.
Oh, damn. Just click, rolling all over the place. I was looking into it. I didn't back at the Kickstarter, just because I have enough retro controllers. I have enough Brawler controllers. I very do much love them, but I don't need another one at the moment. I mean, I'll buy one eventually. But the one thing that caught my attention, other than being a wireless, because I am a sucker for wireless technology, was they fixed the triggers on it. So the Brawler 64, and I might have said this when I was first talking about it when I first got it, has these really beautiful like analog poles on it It's a very good feeling trigger. It's an excellent feeling trigger. The problem with it is they're not analog triggers, because the N64 didn't have analog triggers, and I don't know why they bothered. And on this one, on the new wireless one, they have adjusted it to what they describe as a digital pull, which honestly, the way it looks, it has a very short pull on it. And it's kind of like on Scuff and like the Xbox Elite controller, where you can grab your little key and you can lock the triggers, so you have short click pulls as opposed to like full analog pulls on it. Mm. And honestly, sounds great to me. That sounds awesome.
I did back the Kickstarter, so I will
nice.
Report back once I have it.
What color did you choose?
I think I just went with the gray because I didn't particularly like any of the colors they had.
Fair enough.
Because like I was looking for the atomic purple or something else, but I don't think they had any that I was particularly excited for.
The only colors that matter are atomic purple and smoke gray. But yeah, I'll pick this one up eventually. I would be kind of nice. I would be super duper thrilled if it was Bluetooth, and that was a Bluetooth dongle, partly because that means theoretically you'd be able to just connect it to your PC as well. Mm-hmm. And this would solve the whole, because you can get a Brawler 64 for your 64, and you can get a Brawler 64 USB. The only improvement, and I didn't read enough into the campaign, maybe you know something I don't, the only thing that I would really like is to be able to program this controller to swap my L and Z.
I don't think so. I'm not seeing anything about that on here.
Because you have two Z triggers, and then you have L and R bumpers. And I think it would be cool if even if it was a mechanical toggle, I don't know how a mechanical toggle would work, but if there was a switch where you could be like, I like my L and R up on the bumpers, I like my L and R on the triggers. If I could just switch those back and forth where Z could be a bumper or Z could be a trigger, that would be nice, because I don't think there is a single N64 game in existence that requires use of all three. I know, like in Mario Kart, hitting L does something. I think it shuts the music off when you're racing, because it's an option you have, but it doesn't do anything else important. Like, you don't need it to play the game.
Trying to remember.
Like, you never need all three trigger options in a single game. Just because how would that even work?
Well, okay, so you never need all three at the same time.
Yeah, you never need them all at the same time. Like, all three of them can have functions in a game, but they're never like, oh, and you need to use this button too. It's like, this is literally the select button up here. Because we didn't have a select button.
It would be really awkward to actually play a game that used all three, just because of the way that you hold the N64 pad. If you've got your fingers on the triggers, it's going to be hard for you to press the Z trigger.
Yeah.
Yep. So, anyway, I mean, I can bitch about that, but that's just the nature of the N64. That's why with a modern controller like this, just one little extra feature like that, it's literally the only problem I have with the N64 or the Brawler 64 is that when you're playing a game, it's like one finger's on a trigger and then one finger's on a bumper. Mm-hmm. And it's just a little weird. Everything about it is, other than that, is absolutely beautiful. And it's honestly one of the most comfortable controllers I've ever held. And I love it. And I'm super stoked that there's a wireless version.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Like, that aside, this is just top tier controller. It's top tier quality.
Yeah, and that was why I backed Kickstarter, because I know their stuff is good, mm-hmm. And I'm just excited to see it.
It is funny to see like a wireless controller with a big old dongle, though, because that is a big old dongle that plugs into the N64. I didn't realize that it actually accepted like your memory packs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't work for Rumble Pack or Transfer Pack or anything, but
it does take your memory packs.
Yeah, it does take the controller packs.
My memory packs are all dead. Like they're dead. Like not the battery. Like the not battery is dead. Like they're dead, but they're like old Nyko ones.
Yeah,
and I think making it 20-something years is pretty respectable.
I don't even know what happened to the one that I had, because I had a third-party Rumble Pack and Controller Pack combo where the Rumble Pack would plug in and the Controller Pack would plug into the Rumble Pack.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So that was what I had, but I don't know what happened to it at this point. It's been so long.
I don't know who's making memory packs, because like people still make PS2 and PS1 memory packs.
Yeah.
Or memory cards. I don't know if anybody makes N64 memory packs with decent storage. And I'm wondering, like, I'm thinking about taking one of them, like, getting one and, like, expanding it to, like, modern hardware. I know there's a hack for it.
Mm-hmm.
A hack. There's a mod you can do to, like, give it modern hardware so you don't have to, like, you're not reliant on batteries and all that jazz.
Right.
But that seems like an undertaking to me. But anyway, yeah, Wireless Brawler 64, good stuff.
Gonna be good.
Get that advertising money if they listen.
Yeah, we do have another system coming out as well from Analog. They did the Sega NT, I think it was called. It's kind of like a really souped up Mega Drive FPGA system, and they did one for the SNES, and they've got like a little pocket one coming out as well.
They did one for the NES as well too, and it was like a $200 NES. Yeah,
yeah, they're not cheap, but they are kind of like, if you really want like a high end emulation machine, this is a company to go for, because they are really solidly built, and they've just got a good reputation for like making really, really decent emulation consoles. Well, it's not emulation, it's FPGA, which is basically recreating the hardware. But they have the Analog Duo coming out next year, which is a bit of a generic name, but it is actually recreating TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, SuperGrafx, TurboGrafx CD, PC Engine CD-ROM, and Super Arcade CD-ROM. So basically the entire line of Konami consoles. It has a CD drive, it has a cartridge slot, so it can play like the entire range. I don't think they've had videos of it running just yet. It's just been announced. But it's going to be about $200, which puts it in line with the other machines.
Yeah.
But the fact that it can play 6 different formats is kind of like really, really solid.
Yeah.
The entire NEC console line can be played on this.
Impressive. Yeah, I'm actually on Analog's website right now, taking a peek at these, because like the NT Mini is not fucking cheap. But that's the whole thing, is they're like, this is modern hardware. And that's the thing, it's like, oh, it's so expensive. Well, at the same time, when you think about it, they have effectively recreated original hardware, and beyond that, they've created original hardware that upscales to HDMI while also running your RGB, which means it has an upscaler mod in it. If you were to go and buy a NES and then go and have a mod done for you, assuming you're not going to be doing that yourself, and then getting it fixed up so it works better, because I mean, most NESs don't come in excellent condition, you're going to be spending close to the same amount of money.
Yeah, and just by virtue of being older hardware, even if you do fix it up, it is still more prone to failure than a brand new machine.
So this is one of those things where, and that's the thing, is also like the NT Mini, which is the first time I saw anything from Analog, also runs Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can run Famicom games as well, and apparently it has a unit that plugs in so you can run Famicom disk systems. So that is also a thing,
which like 4 people in Japan have. So
yeah,
I bet they were ecstatic. But yeah, I mean, it is marketed towards the higher end collector. Obviously, you know, there are a lot cheaper options available. Not specifically for like the NEC Konami consoles, but you know, for like if you did want to play Famicom games, like something like the Retron 5 can do it. You know, there are options out there for playing these games, but if you want the absolute best FPGA experience on decent hardware, then this is kind of like the company to go for. Although I've heard a lot of criticisms about their ordering process. Apparently, the pre-order process is kind of like really bollocks, but they have committed to trying to do better with that. So we'll see.
We shall indeed.
Yeah, like I've looked at this. I know that I definitely eyeballed more than once their Super NT because it's got good styles, and yeah, no, it's just clean. There really is the answer for the people who want to get into retro gaming but don't want to go hunting down consoles. And like, I don't know if we ever followed up with the what was it called? It was basically the Super console with the different ports that connect to the top.
Oh, the Polymega?
Yeah, the Polymega. Like, I know the Polymega was kind of going to be the answer to all of your retro gaming needs, because you get the different things, you just plug the different units in, and suddenly you're playing all these different games. But I know that the quality became more and more questionable as time went on. And have we heard anything about that? Because that seems newsworthy.
Yes. Well, they're no longer FPGA systems; they're emulation. But it isn't at retail yet. But the base units have been sent out to kind of like reviewers and YouTubers and stuff like that. So there are, if you have a look around on YouTube, you'll find some videos taking a look at it. And it looks like a pretty solid machine.
Yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. So I will probably end up getting one eventually.
Yeah, I mean, nothing else can do Saturn emulation.
Yeah,
it is true. It is true. I don't know why it's such a pain in the ass. I don't know why they had to make the Saturn. And Saturns are expensive. I mean, maybe not over in the UK, but here in the US, Saturns aren't cheap. And again, they're prone to failure because they're, 20, they're going on, they're over 20 years old now. They're 24 years old or something like that.
And wasn't the laser array on it wonky as it was?
I think one of the generations, the lasers was a little like, be gentle with your system.
Okay.
I mean, I've never had a problem with mine, but mine doesn't see heavy use. As far as I'm aware, Adam hasn't had any problems with his, and he does use his a lot.
I guess it's more of a don't slap your console around because it's one of the earlier ones. I think the Sega CD was the one that had really bad laser problems.
Okay.
The first iteration of the Sega CD was quite dodgy. I personally have the second one, which is a smaller one. Which I've not had any issues with.
What does the Duo play?
All of the NEC Konami consoles, TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, Super Graphics, TurboGrafx CD, PC Engine CD-ROM, and Super Arcade CD-ROM.
That's actually quite a bit. And it looks pretty slick, too. Maybe Analog will come around and be like, oh, we've built a Saturn Dreamcast box. That would be pretty dope.
I mean, it's certainly a lot prettier than my PC Engine Mini that I bought, which is ugly as shit. plays a lot of the same games, but yeah.
That's true. Oh, shit. Apparently, wait, what? Apparently, 8BitDo has made a TurboGrafx controller.
Yeah, I think all of 8BitDo's controllers will work with this, according to the news article that I read.
Well, I'm saying, but 8BitDo has specifically made a TurboGrafx style controller, which is not saying much. It's a pretty generic controller. It's a D-pad and some buttons, but it is kind of nice to see that they've actually, 8BitDo's made a specific controller. They're really good on that coverage. I guess Analog is best buds with 8BitDo, because all of their consoles come with an 8BitDo controller.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you are a company that does high-end consoles to partner up with a company that does high-end. Well, they're not really high-end controllers. They are decent controllers. They're actually fairly affordable, but it does make sense to partner up with a company like that.
I think I'll be picking up. One of these days, I'm going to pick up their Pocket.
Yeah, it's been delayed until next year.
That's a shame.
But they are actually releasing, I'm just reading this now, a $30 adapter so that the Pocket can play TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, and Super Graphics games as well.
Yep, which is super cool. It's going to be the ultimate Pocket, because, it plays everything. It plays everything, which is outstanding. Game Gear plays Game Gear games. Advanced plays advanced games. It plays Atari Lynx games, which, I mean, good luck finding some of that. But at the same time, still super duper cool. And, like, this thing is so premium. The Duo is so fucking premium. It has a Gorilla Glass screen. That's what they put on phones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they really are into bringing you, like, the premium retro gaming experience.
It does look like a very nice device. I mean, it's funny, actually, you said this can play Game Gear games. Like, my Game Gear can't even play Game Gear games.
Yeah, same. Mine's also toast.
It's broke, but yeah.
Good stuff. I'm actually just looking more at the Duo. The Pocket has a digital audio workstation built in called the Nano Loop. It's a synthesizer and sequencer designed for music creation. They built in a chiptunes application into the Duo. That's fucking amazing. Now you don't have to mod your old hardware. You can just go buy a new one, and it gives you true... and it gives you true chiptune plugins. That's great. Outstanding.
Yeah, they do go all out on these consoles. That's all the news that I have, personally. In terms of November game releases, there's not a lot retro-wise, because obviously the new consoles are coming out.
Right.
So a lot of the focus is on that. The only one that I personally was able to find is there is a remake of the first Katamari Damacy game coming out.
They already did that, didn't they?
It's coming out November 20th for PS4 and Xbox One.
Didn't they already release it on Switch, though?
They may have done.
Because I'm pretty sure Katamari Damacy was released on Switch, and it had a different name, but it was the same game.
Yes. Actually came out on Switch 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that remake is now coming out on PS4 and Xbox One.
Good. It's a fine game.
And that appears to be the only retro release, really. Everything else is kind of like geared towards the new consoles. And
oh, yeah, because no one's going to give a shit about retro this upcoming month and a half, because it's going to be all brand new, massive powerhouses. And again, I'll be able to pick up an Xbox Series X eventually. I don't need one right now.
I'll probably get one sometime in December.
Honestly, I'm just going to wait for Gears 5, because then I'll be able to get my Gears 5 version.
Yeah.
I might pick up a Series S before then.
See, I have no interest in the S.
But we'll see. We shall see. So then, well, I mean, if that wraps up news, I guess we just need to get this show here on the road. We've got games to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Things started out innocent enough. The discussion was light-hearted, and everything seemed fine for the young men. They felt safe and secure under the night sky. But where the discussion would head next would seal their fates forever.
So our focus this month, given the fact that it is Halloween, and, didn't kick off with this, but, happy Halloween. We're going to be looking at not horror games, because how generic. We're going to be looking at some horror hacks of games, some creepy takes on classic games and characters. And I think we need to kick off with a rather famous creepypasta one, is Sonic.exe. And I had actually heard of this one before. I had never played it before now. But basically it kicks off with like the actual creepypasta, because I mean some of the creepypastas are good, some of them are bad. Most of them are bad, I'm not going to lie. But some of them are genuinely really good. Then this was just something, supposedly kid got a Sega CD or a Sonic CD disc, and had a letter telling him that he needed to get rid of the disc and something terrible was going to happen. Standard creepypasta stuff.
Spooky ghost, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, standard creepypasta stuff. But I'm not going to read off the entire story of what the creepypasta is. We might kick some links to the creepypastas and let y'all read those if you haven't. This was a weird ROM hack. And it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a weird ROM hack to go along with the game, or to
Right.
go along with the story.
Right.
I will save my thoughts for last, because I don't want to be too mean. But, like, you start off, and it's like, oh, it's Happy Town, Sonic Land, and then it's not right. Like, it's Sonic CD, but it's not right. Something's wrong, obviously, with the way it starts out, but just, like, the movement isn't right either.
Yeah.
And that's when everything takes an unhappy turn very quickly. It starts not being a good time. As far as being a creepypasta, it's supposed to not be a good time. How did you feel about this? Because this game's really short.
Mm-hmm.
It's super duper short. Like, I think I was maybe I was running around for 15 minutes tops.
Yeah, it's a quick one.
My first impressions of it, kind of like it's edgelord as fuck.
It is.
Yes.
It is. I mean, it's not in any way a mature horror game. It's kind of like a childish take on it, and that does kind of come from the original creepypasta story. I mean, the creepypasta story came first, and then the game was based on it, and the writing in the creepypasta was so bad that it actually got removed from the creepypasta wiki.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But obviously the game kind of like remains. Yeah, it is kind of something that a teenage boy would write and make. I mean, it's interesting in that there are a lot of Easter eggs to find. I don't know if any of you actually found the Easter eggs in it.
No.
Really?
But basically on each character, like, you start off with Tails, and generally you just run to the right, there's no enemies and anything, and then you find Sonic, and I think he, like, tears your heart out or something like that. If you run left as Tails, there's a big spinning picture of a Doge. You go right for a certain amount of time, and then once everything in the area turns bloody, you'd start running left. And then if you run left far enough, you get this big spinning Doge. And there's some text, kind of like, I can't remember exactly what it says, but it's like the standard Doge text, like much scary or something like that.
Amazing.
Nice.
Wow.
And then you can't actually do anything with it. You just run to the right again, and you meet up with Sonic, and he kills Tails, and you get on to kind of like the next stuff. The next one is Knuckles, who has a punch attack, which you don't actually use.
Mm-hmm.
If you run left with Knuckles, you get to kind of like this really trippy vaporwave looking level where it just looks really, really weird. And then you essentially just run right, and then it goes on to the normal level where you meet Sonic. And Dr. Robotnik is exactly the same. You just run left, and you get kind of like an extra little level where not a hell of a lot happens, and then it goes on to kind of like the normal one. So it's like, I guess the Tails one would kind of like count as an Easter egg. The other two guys, it's just an extra little level with weirdness going on. But they all end in the same way. I mean, there's not like multiple endings or anything like that. It all ends with Sonic killing all three characters, and then a creepy Sonic face comes up saying, "I am God," which again, edgelord as fuck.
Yeah.
And that's basically the whole game.
I mean, you could basically just call it Sonic Does a Murder. Like,
Sonic Does a Murder. I'm trying to flip through the actual creepypasta because obviously, like, I guess it was too late for them. I'm assuming someone died because that's what happens in creepypastas is people die. I guess,
basically.
Yeah, because in the actual creepypasta, like he plays the game and then like he gets rid of it and then he turns around and there is a Sonic plush mimicking the evil Sonic from the game sitting on his bed, and it's like, okay, so again, a very cringy creepypasta.
Speaking of and going along with the edgelord thing, Matt, do you recognize the laugh that Sonic has in this?
It did actually ring a bell. I'm just trying to remember it now.
It is the laugh of Kefka, the main antagonist of Final Fantasy VI.
Oh right. I mean, I've not got around to Final Fantasy VI yet.
I knew you hadn't gotten there yet. I just wasn't sure if you had come across it or not. And I'll just give you this one for free. Edgelords kind of worship Kefka.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Full circle.
I mean, because he's kind of like a video game version of the Joker, basically, isn't he?
Yeah, except he's like, he's like way more of a threat than the Joker because magic, but still, like.
I mean, yeah. Joker's dropped a nuke on a city before. I don't know if that's a pretty big threat.
I mean, Kefka rearranged reality.
Okay, so
that'll do it.
You win.
All of these games, I don't think the creators really care about copyright infringement. They will just pinch stuff from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I think, you know what the problem with Sonic EXE is, other than it's obviously based off of a kind of a bad creepypasta, like a very not great creepypasta, was that it tried too hard. Like, somehow the actual recreation of the game itself tried harder than the creepypasta did.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can do that, because, like, I'm reading the creepypasta as we're talking, and it's bad. It's a bad creepypasta.
Yeah.
I mean, most creepypastas are bad, to be honest.
Well, yeah, and no, they're bad, but, like, there's different levels of bad. Oh, right here in the creepypasta, it's the Kefka laugh. That's really funny.
Yep.
It's like, it's bad. It's obviously bad, but, like, then there's the really bad ones. And this is, like, one of the really bad ones. And the game is a worse bad. And what makes me mad is someone who appreciates horror. I'm not super deep into horror. I know that you really like horror games, Matt. Is you can see all the things where they could have dialed back and actually made a really creepy game.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it was just like, there's dead animals everywhere. Evil Sonic is so edgy.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off creepy. Like, it starts off with, like, no enemies, the music is going backwards.
You're way slower than you should be.
Yeah, if it had started off like Sonic CD, like exactly like, I mean, one of the games that we're going to talk about later on does kind of like follow the original game for a good portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
If they had done that and kind of like slowly added kind of like the creepier elements into it, then it would have been a lot more effective rather than having the whole game just be kind of like wannabe creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing of the creepypasta itself is kind of like on a level with something like Jeff the Killer, which is god awful. I mean, there is a fantastic dramatic reading of it by Jenny Nicholson on YouTube, which I urge everyone to go and look at. And it is kind of like on the level of that. It's just immature bollocks, really.
It is very much, someone was like, how do you build suspense? And it's like they wanted to build suspense, but they actually had no clue how suspense works.
Right.
So they're just like, well, suspense is when it's scary, and it's like, so we're gonna make it always scary all the time. And it's like, well, one, when it's always scary all the time, it's not very scary, and two, when it's not written in a scary or creepy fashion, it's just bad. This is bad.
Yeah, I just wasn't super impressed with this one. Like, it's like I've been known to to read the occasional creepypasta, and some of them are decently written. Most of them are not.
You've been known to dabble.
Yeah, but it's just like, then there's some of the games that they describe sound like, it sounds like it'd be interesting to play. This was not It just wasn't.
No, I mean, like, one of probably the biggest gaming creepypasta is probably something like Ben Drowned.
That's a decent creepypasta.
Yeah, that is actually a decent story, you know. Which, as far as I'm aware, no one has actually made like a proper game adaptation of.
No, but there is I want to say that someone did like basically an in-game animation of some of it to go along with the story, and it was done very well.
Yeah, I've seen that on YouTube. I can't remember who actually did it, but I have seen that.
Like they reenacted how the game goes out according to the creepypasta. Yeah, it was I liked that. But
that was the one that kind of like popularized gaming creepypastas, and everything else after that is just kind of like trying to emulate that and not really managing it very well.
Yeah, I mean I think the biggest one I knew of was the Lavender Town tone, which, like, you know, it's not even really something you can make a game of. It's just a story.
The story of like what is like the original Japanese for Red and Blue had like like supposedly the tones, like a lot of the notes registered and like really like even higher things, and it drove a bunch of kids like mad.
Yeah,
I thought that was the anime.
No, it was supposedly the original Red and Green in Japan. Yeah. The kids that were using headphones, the Lavender Town theme would mess them up. And it's like, you know.
But like, here's the thing: is like that story actually was pushed enough back in the day that it actually like became urban legend. It wasn't just creepypasta. That hit urban legend status for a minute.
Yeah,
and obviously it's not like that hit the urban legend status of like Polybius, which, I mean, bravo.
Yeah,
but obviously not true. Polybius doesn't exist.
Yeah, I've just checked, and the anime one I was thinking of was actually part of the original intro was actually triggering some photosensitive epileptic fits.
Well, no, the thing with the anime was
or there was like an episode.
Yeah, the thing with the anime was a thing that actually happened.
Yeah,
where the episode with Porygon, Pikachu did an attack that ended up having a strobe-like effect, and it caused a bunch of kids in Japan to have seizures. And as a result, Porygon and its evolutions have never been in the show since.
It's super effective.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that pisses me off because I really like Porygon. And it's like they blamed Porygon for what Pikachu did.
Your opponent fainted. That's messed up. Like, would it be fainted, or would it be like your opponent is confused?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm just gonna eject from this joke.
I don't know. It's a very try hard. This was a very try hard creepypasta, and I appreciate. If anything, I appreciate how well they held to the actual like story itself. Like if it's one of those things where you're gonna say so, don't say something bad unless you can say something good. They really did like commit to keeping it to how it was described. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, it just could have been more interesting than just hold right for 5 minutes.
Right, because like Robotnik stage, like you're walking for a long time. It feels like Robotnik just doing his fucking airplane run. Also, was Robotnik in a Sonic game as like one of the classic Sonic games as like a character? By the way, I'm super curious about that. Before we move on,
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. I mean, this creepypasta is based on Sonic CD, I think, which I haven't actually played. So I'm not entirely sure.
Because the sprite's super clean.
Well, the sprite animation will have been just taken from the game. I mean, he does have a running animation when you defeat him.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah, I don't know if he's actually a playable character in any of them.
Well, he might be in Sonic CD. Anyway, that being said, let's move on to what I felt was maybe a little better. We've got more of these. We've got more of these. So let's move on to the next one here.
As the moon rose higher overhead, and the chill of night set in, this talk of possessed video games would begin to take its toll. Apprehension was setting in, but they were determined to see the night through. Little did they know, it would be their last.
All right, our second creepypasta title that we tackled this month for spooky times is Pokemon Cursed Forever, which I believe is a ROM hack of Pokemon Yellow.
Ish.
It's a hack of Gen 1 Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put it that way. And it sort of it kicks you off like, oh, I guess it's Pokemon, except it starts getting kind of creepy even at the title screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something. That's why I think it's yellow, because like the whole thing with Pikachu pops up and like he's kind of sad, but it's very clearly things are wrong right out of the gate, because it drops you in it's been so long. Might be Oak's lab. I'm not 100% sure, and
think so?
I think it's Oak's lab, or it's supposed to be Oak's lab, and you can't interact with anything. And there's nobody there, so you just leave and you find a way to go. And you just start walking. And there's a handful of like Pokemon encounters that you have to run from because you have no Pokemon. Until you get to whatever town is supposed to be up there, but like the town's all glitched out around. Like there's a couple buildings, but you can only go inside one, and like your borders where you normally be able to leave to explore, like it has like code glitching where like all the textures get jacked up, and then also there's for some reason ones and zeros, because also binary is part of the code glitch, I guess. So beep boop.
Well, not only that, but so the route itself to walk there is like super, super long.
Oh, it's so long.
Yeah. Like it takes forever to get there, and of course, after a certain point, it's all grass, so you're just getting random encounters, every little bit.
I was actually quite impressed that it was actually random encounters though, and not just scripted. It was because I played it a couple of times, and it was different Pokemon that came up against each time.
And like Pokemon, and some of them were like Pokemon that you wish you had a Pokeball to capture them with,
right?
Like fuck. I think the levels the Pokemon would come in at were at slightly randomized as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I came across I don't even remember what it was, but it was like, I recall specifically it was like a level 40 or something like that. It's like, holy shit. You can't just throw that at me. I don't even have Pokemon. Anyway, so you move on to that, and then you go into the Poké Center, and you find a Chansey who's pretty distressed, it appears.
Yeah.
And then you get into a fight with it, and you get into a fight with it, and a creepy, like, it just gets KO'd. Like, you can't run from the battle, because normally it's like, oh, you gotta run from the battle. And you can't run from the battle, and then it doesn't attack, and then it gets KO'd, and then you get Ukapap. Ukakip, yeah, Ukakip. Ukakip shows up.
Yeah, it's Pikachu backwards.
Yeah, because obviously we're super clever. So yeah, Ukakip shows up and starts wailing on you, and then Chansey, who has just been KO'd, starts helping you. Mm-hmm. And you don't understand what's going on because you can't run, you can't attack, you can't use any items. But like you beat him. You don't beat him. You get restored, and then he KOs you, and then it's like you fainted and you've been cursed forever, hence the title Cursed Forever, but then you wake up and you have Ukakip. You captured him, which I don't understand how.
Yeah.
That's kind of a problem, that you captured him and you don't know how. And then I'm trying to remember now what happened. This is one of the first ones I played here.
Well, you have to go into like one of two open doors, which both lead to the same place. It appears to be your house.
No, I think it's a link room.
Yeah, the cable club.
It's the cable club. That's right. And you can't leave.
Yeah, and it should be noted that like the towns are completely empty. When you go through this, like there's nobody in Pallet Town, nobody in Viridian City. Viridian City is only the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, like literally the only character sprite in the actual world apart from you is that Chansey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you go into this room, and I'm not sure if it's like a specific amount of time has to pass or you have to sit in one of the chairs. But then it will transition to, I believe it's like just a picture of the Pokemon, a picture of Pikachu, and it just says "Cursed Forever."
Yeah.
Then it just kind of ends.
Well, yeah, because when you come back, like when you come back, the town that you come back into is like even more corrupted, but like also your silhouette's all blacked out.
Yeah.
And there's some creepy text in there as you go along. And that's what's funny is like the creepypasta itself, like now I'm reading it, I would say that this is better than like your standard video game creepypasta on account that it doesn't try to make it super like, oh, and super edgy, and then I died, and then someone else died. It literally just describes the game and leaves it as kind of a really, like, describing just kind of a creepy, weird hack, and it just ends it there.
Like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah, like, it ends it as, like, I got this really weird ROM hack, and I don't understand it, and everything should have been fine, but clearly this game was weird, and it doesn't try to expand on it, and I really appreciate that. However, my one problem with the game, and they were set up for it, is Ukakip has like this really big, evil, toothy smile, and like his eyes are all blacked out. Not unlike demonic I Am God Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit overdone.
It's a little bit overdone, but when you boot the game up, when you boot the game up, when you start playing the ROM hack, it loads up like Pokemon Yellow would do, but then it's like, oh yeah, let's do the thing. And then like when you hit start, when you move on, Pikachu's eyes disappear for a second.
Yep.
And I think that would have been a lot better if the sprite of the Ukakip that you came across was just Pikachu without eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just kind of weird enough already, because what it does is it gives you kind of like something graphical is going on, something's wrong with the game, but it's not like overtly scary. It's just it just changes what's normal enough to catch your attention. And I think that's super important when you're building suspense and kind of mystery of what's going on. Obviously, I went into this knowing that it's a ROM hack and that it's a creepypasta ROM hack. Well, it's not even a ROM hack. I think these are just... I guess some of them are. I think the one of them was just not even a ROM hack as much as it was just a Flash game.
Mm-hmm.
But doing little things like that, where it's like, oh, something's not right here. When you can't interact with anything, it's like, okay, something's really weird. And then it starts going into, like, this obviously we're building up to something really weird and goofy. But, like, Pikachu being all sad in the very beginning, him not being okay in the little load spot, not right. Pikachu's eyes disappear, like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Pikachu's eyes are gone.
Yeah, sometimes when you're trying too hard to be creepy, it just comes off as amateurish.
It does. It does, and that's and Sonic EXE was amateurish all the way through. And while this hit you right at the end, where it was just like, oh, big toothy smiled Joker-ish Pikachu, the Joker Pikachu, would have been better if it was just no eyes. I firmly believe that if someone redid this game, but it was just Pikachu with no eyes and everything else about the sprite was the same, it would be so much better.
Mm.
That being said, not bad. And again, the way that the whole creepypasta is presented just as I played a really weird, fucked up game, really lends to the quality. If you can say creepypastas have quality, it helped.
Right.
It helps now reading this, which is actually nice because this is better because it also means you can just hand this ROM hack to someone and let them play it, and it's just weird. It stays weird and it doesn't like, oh, I don't understand the story. That was it. That's it.
Unlike some other Pokemon creepypasta ROM hacks, this one doesn't make you play through the entirety of a Pokemon game.
Oh, thank God, too. And, well, you know what? As the resident Pokemaster, how did you feel about it?
I mean, you know, I thought it was fine. I did like the effect when Ukakip uses whatever its attack is.
But he uses
Yeah, and it inverts the colors, and I kind of liked the effect that the redesigned face had with the inverted colors.
Oh yeah, like the eyes, like you can suddenly see like the pupils on the eyes.
Yeah.
In the invert, like I guess they're technically there.
Yeah, they're there. They're just red, so it's hard to see them.
Yeah, you can't see them with the red on the black, but when it pops around, they really pop.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I like the redone sprite of your character after it knocks you out.
I'm assuming that you die.
That's the implication.
My assumption is that you die, and then when you get stuck inside the cable club, that you're in purgatory or you're already in purgatory.
No idea.
And then, obviously, this is reading into it and trying to embrace the creepy factor of it. But maybe when Ukakip curses you or kills you, and then you go to the cable club, and you're like, oh, well, you went to a place where there's supposed to be other people, but it's only you, and you can never leave.
Yeah, there's that.
Is that supposed to be some representation of hell or something like that? Or I mean, it's a creepypasta game. You could take whatever you want from it.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that it doesn't explain it, I think works in its favor.
I think, I think you're right. And again, because the creepypasta itself, the actual story itself, doesn't explain it or try to explain it all too much either, really helps us out. So, I mean, I liked it. I genuinely liked it enough to... I didn't go through and play it again. I did want to go through and see if all the encounters were random, but now you've told me that there's not. Or that they are, so...
Because reading through the story, it mentions at least one that I never saw in the video that I saw.
Which one?
It says Raichu. I don't think I ever saw one.
Oh, I did. I saw a Raichu on my second playthrough.
I saw the story. I saw the Gengar. That was the really high level one.
Yeah,
it was the level 34 Gengar.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of Gengars. I saw an Alakazam. I didn't see any Clefairies like it mentions here.
I saw that's some other shit.
That's the thing. They are actually
random. Yeah, which is nice.
And unlike the Sonic game, I mean, this does have a bit more gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, not a hell of a lot. I mean, there is still only one way you can go, and only a few actions that you can actually take. But you can actually go through the menus and stuff, like you can in a normal Pokemon game.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could recommend playing this to somebody. I would tell people just watch a video of Sonic EXE.
I wouldn't even tell people to watch a video of Sonic EXE.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I would tell them there's a really bad, there's a really terrible Sonic creepypasta ROM hack called Sonic EXE, and if you want to subject yourself to that sort of thing, then go for it.
When I was kind of looking into the creepypasta games, there is a Pokemon ROM hack that I remember seeing a YouTube video of. There was probably about 20-25 minutes worth of gameplay that had a lot of different kind of aspects to it. But I couldn't find the name of it. I thought it was this, which is why I recommended this particular game. but it isn't this one. There is a more expansive one with a bit more gameplay to it.
Are you talking about the one with the ghost?
I don't know. It's a few years since I've actually seen this video of it.
Okay. Because there's the one with the ghost where it only has one move, curse, and
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the one where you can use that to kill the Pokemon and then kill the trainer, and you play through the entire game, and at the end of it, you show up as an old man and walk around, and then when you go to your house, it shows you everyone that you killed with the Pokemon, and then the Pokemon kills you.
That sounds familiar, actually. It might have been that.
They know what they did.
I mean, I would have enjoyed this one more if it was a bit more expansive. But as it is, as a short 5-minute thing, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. And honestly, Pokemon, it's just as an IP, but mostly because of the ghost Pokemon, honestly. The ghost Pokemon are creepy as fuck when you get into their actual in-game descriptions and shit. It's not okay.
Yeah.
What, fucking Gengar eats dreams, and Drifloon takes children off to the laughing place, and holy shit. And then you have Crocophagus, who is not Crocophagus. What's the evil fucking tombstone? That's it's literally just
Spiritomb.
Yeah, Spiritomb is literally just filled with spirits of evil people. Holy shit.
108 spirits.
And there's more.
Cubone wears its mother's skull.
Yeah, wears its mother's skull. Pokemon is just ready for all sorts of creepy stuff. I would love it if the Pokemon Company and Game Freak actually made just a legitimately creepy Pokemon game. Even if it was just a spin-off, if they went and made an actual Pokemon horror game, dealing with lots of your dark and ghost type Pokemons.
Yeah, and what surprises me is that none of the creepypastas seem to deal with those crazy Pokedex entries.
Oh, let's be completely honest. It kind of feels like some of those Pokedex entries are the creepypastas of the Pokemon universe.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I had a Gengar and he was eating my dreams.
I mean, a lot of the issues with a lot of these creepypasta games is if you have someone that's really talented, that's able to pull off a really complex and involved game, they're probably not doing it with another company's IP.
Probably not.
They're probably
make
making
their own game.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these come off amateurish because they're made by amateurs, That's kind of the only people that are making these games.
Yeah, not everyone can be Sonic Mania guy where you take a company's IP and leverage it into a job at said company.
Yeah.
But I liked it. So,
yeah, I thought it was all right.
Since we've been improving, let's move on to our final entry here real quick.
The young men begin to think that maybe this particular topic of discussion had been a bad choice. The trees rustled around them, unseen eyes watched from the bushes. But it was too late to turn back now. They had one final game to talk about. The final game of their lives.
What a better way to close up our trio of creepypasta games than a game involving Mr. Video Games himself, the one and only Mario. There's been a lot of Mario creepypastas that I'm aware of. I mean, why wouldn't there be? He's one of the most iconic. He is the most iconic video game character of all time. So of course he's going to be subject to a lot of fan fiction. Mm-hmm. Some of it scary, some of it sexy.
Some of it both.
Some of it both. I mean, we don't kink shame here. But this was I played this one most recently, and I was kind of okay, it's kind of it's not going to be so bad. I actually really liked this. It took me about a day to figure out that I really liked it. Mm-hmm. because it just kicks off as Mario. You boot the ROM up, and it says it starts off, it's Super Mario World, except it just says Mario. And other than that, it's pretty standard Mario boot up, and then the game gets going, and it boots up into the Super Mario World overworld, and like the very first level you play is clearly not right. Now, I wasn't paying attention to like the level titles at first, because where Yoshi's house normally is, it just says Yoshi or Yoshi's 1-1. Didn't even notice the title there either, and it's the entirety of 1-1 except there are no enemies, there's no checkpoint, and you can't even pick up dragon coins. And you just can run through the whole level. You're not running slow. Nothing is wrong with the game itself other than it's not working properly. Like, it is an incomplete version of the level. But in the very first level, you can interact with message boxes. And, like, the very first one you hit just says, "I hate you."
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? What's wrong with you, buddy? You move through, because it's very short. There's like 5 levels, maybe?
Yeah, it's about 5.
I think it's 5 levels. You can go do that. And I don't even think you have to go that direction now that I think about it. It's just like, if you've played Super Mario World, that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then you move over to the right, and you go to Yoshi's house. It's entitled Yoshi's House, but it's not, obviously. And is that the level where you have to run across the platforms, except there's big gaps? No.
No, Yoshi's house you can't actually enter.
Right, because there's Yoshi's house is normally in the middle with the trees, except it's just Yoshi's, and there's nothing there. And then you go over to the next level, which is entitled Yoshi's House, which is not Yoshi's house. I think that's just a normal level. One of them's a normal level. Like, you can interact with coins, you can pick up mushrooms and all that. You can even get a Yoshi. And other than some unsettling message boxes here and there, it's just a level. There's nothing different about it that I remember. I haven't played Super Mario World for quite a while. But it comes off as just a normal level, besides being titled incorrectly.
I believe the title was actually Yoshi's Island 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island 3 now reads as Yoshi's Island 7.
What happens after that? Because there's a couple weird levels. The one level that really threw me off, kind of threw me for a loop, was it's a mushroom platform level. So like just suspended above the water, except it's just kind of copy-pasted the same platforms over and over with a big gap in between, with an invisible platform between them. And you just kind of run, clearing all these invisible platforms, and eventually the level just ends. There's no enemies or anything. And that was really because I didn't know what to do. I tried doing jump boosting off of Yoshi because I didn't know if I could clear the gap. It turns out there is a gap right between the invisible platform and the actual mushroom itself, and I did die because I missed my platform and I fell right in between them. So that took me a second chance to get through, because I'm really good at video games, very clearly.
I actually lost all my lives in that, and I actually had to start again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that level is the one level which kind of annoyed me, and I don't think having invisible platforms really added to the story, and I kind of wish they weren't there. But yeah.
Right. Other than glitchy game, what was the other one? There's the donut plains. Like, it has a really big number on it.
Yeah, and it has the ghost house music as well.
Yeah, it has the ghost house music, and I don't remember what the other level is. I do know that when you finally get to the palace, or when you get to the fortress, it starts off like it's going to be a fortress, and then it's like a proper fortress, and then it's not. And there's a whole bunch of repeating message boxes that all say the same thing, and there's lava on the ceiling, so don't jump too high. And then you run all the way through an enemy-less stage, and then you go and fight. I think it's Lemmy Koopa, and it's Iggy, and it's a standard fight. It is a 100% standard fight. boss fight for that palace. And then you move on to, I think that's when you move on to Donut Plains.
Hang on, but when you blow up the tower, you don't get the normal message.
That's right. You get a kind of a creepy ass message.
You get a coroner's report, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see. Eyeballs were unable to be found. Victim was found lying on her carpet. Causes of death unknown. Hand marks with unidentifiable fingerprints were found all over the corpse. So, yeah.
And then you move on to the final, not Donut Plains, or maybe it is Donut Plains. You move on to the final stage, because like when you move up past that, the entire map is glitched out, and it only shows one spot. You see one ghost from where that from where the Boo House would be, and then there's just one stage amidst a whole bunch of nothing. And when you go into that, you have when you go into that section. I actually let the timer run down because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I didn't realize it was a hidden pipe exit. But they have like they have doors, except they're like the sprites are knocked down to half. They're sunken into the floor, so they're small. And I realized that they're supposed to be headstones. And I let and I realized kind of what was going on at that point. And I was like, oh, I can't leave. And it tells you like there's no escape, or it says there's no way out of here. Fly away.
Yeah.
And then because there's a hidden pipe there too, and then there's a hidden pipe, and you have to hit a box. There's no way out of fly away. You find a hidden pipe. It brings you into the graveyard, which there's another exit for. It was actually in the graveyard that I let the timer tick down because I thought, okay, I'm trapped here. This is good. This is where it's going to start turning into like legit creepypasta stuff.
Right.
Nothing happened. I went back in. I found the hidden exit out of there. And then there's just a pit you can jump into and warp pipe down by pressing down. And that's it. I played this twice because I thought my game glitched.
It just goes to black, doesn't it?
But it just goes to black. You cannot pause. You cannot do any action. So like there's no running. There's no jumping. Your sprite's gone. It's just a pitch black screen. And when I realized that's how it closed out, I suddenly really appreciated it, like later as I was thinking about it. And again, the fact that the creepypasta on this, the majority of the story on the creepypasta on this is just, I played a weird game.
Well, and the thing about this one, and the thing that I think sets this one apart and why people like it so much, is the story of this creepypasta is actually true. Like, the story is that this guy was looking at the hacks. It was on SMWC, I think. Basically just a community, and like people would upload ROM hacks. So he was browsing through those and found one, and it was this. And the story is just him relating what he found and talking about how he was talking to the people in IRC chat. But like the story itself is true. Now, there's been some details added, like him having computer problems. He has actually said in an interview that didn't happen. He didn't have any computer problems. He just played this and was talking to people about it. But like the story part of it is true. Like, it's all there. There was a text file there that was a bunch of gibberish just with the text "find me" in there a bunch of times. And then if you convert the TXT to a JPEG, it's a really scary image of a face.
The face, I think, like, looking at it, I think it might be a distorted version of Jigsaw's puppet from the Saw films. It kind of looks a bit like Jigsaw's puppet. A
little bit. I almost wonder if maybe it's supposed to be the face of the person described in that message from the castle.
Maybe, or like a coroner's photo kind of.
I mean, it almost looks like the eyes aren't there. I mean, it's a low quality image, so it's hard to tell. But
well, I mean, like at this point, if this image had to be described in modern meme standards, it would be deep fried to hell.
Yeah.
But I really dug this. I really, really liked this ROM hack, and I liked it more like a couple days later. I went back in and I played it again last night just because. And yeah, I know it's a shame because apparently this has been removed from that community.
Yeah.
It is a gem of its kind because it is solid, because it does give you it gives you a proper level to run through, and it doesn't come off as excessively try hard.
Mm.
I had a hell of a hard time actually getting it to run because unlike the other two games, this is actually like a patch file that you've actually got to patch onto Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And I tried it with 3 different regional variants of Super Mario World, 3 different ROMs that I had, and I couldn't get it to work. So I ended up finding it on a Flash site. I ended up having to play it in like a little browser window because the patch just wouldn't work with any of the Super Mario World ROMs I have.
A little bit odd, but maybe that was part of the creepypasta. It is really hard to get it to run.
But it is enjoyable though. It does have like quite a lot of actual gameplay.
Yeah, there's actual like running around and playing the game versus push direction on D-pad for a very long time until the creepypasta happens.
Yeah. No, this one was good. And I think the story part of it actually being, a true thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if that disqualifies it as creepypasta, but it actually, I think that enhances it.
Well, honestly, it's better because unlike Sonic EXE, where the game was built off of a creepypasta where he played a bad Sonic game,
mm-hmm.
and then Pokemon Cursed Forever, the game is a recreation of a very
vaguely described creepypasta.
Yeah, a very vaguely described creepypasta, a very banal creepypasta. It's just kind of, it is like, oh, I played a game and it was kind of creepy. And then someone recreated the game based off of that. Versus, in this case, the game is the creepypasta.
Yeah, like the game was created first.
The game was created first, and theoretically, anybody could experience this creepypasta fresh without having to have the context of it.
Yes.
And it delivers exactly as a creepypasta should, where it's not scary, it's just unsettling. It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the difference between bad creepypasta and good creepypasta. Bad creepypasta tends to just devolve into poor writing.
And then they all died.
And it turns out we were dead all along. The real deaths were the friends we made along the way. But this establishes, it has a little bit of edginess in it here and there, like, oh, I hate you. And it's like, okay, whatever. But it doesn't go too far, and the way it ends just kind of maintains a weird, unsettling feeling, a weird, unsettling tone for the entirety of the ROM hack. And because, apparently, like you said, if it is a true story, like if it was just dropped onto a ROM hack, or it was dropped onto a ROM hack sharing site, that just even sends that home a little bit more.
Yeah, like there was no extra information attached to it. It was just the ROM hack and that text file.
It was made as a creepypasta for everybody.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I think that, honestly, and the nice thing about this is now retroactively, the Pokemon Curse Forever is kind of the same way. It can be kind of it can be a creepypasta for everybody because the creepypasta didn't have a bunch of shit loaded onto it. Anybody can play that and experience it as was intended by the story.
Right.
But the fact that that is how Mario here was actually made makes it even that much better.
Yeah, it's cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I know. I really liked it. I would not mind doing this again sometime, as long as we don't cover Sonic EXE again. I wouldn't mind a ROM hack, like an actual repro card of this. That would actually be kind of cool to have.
Kind of. I don't know that I would pay for...
I don't know. Like as long as it wasn't expensive. And the problem is when you're buying repros is the hardware's expensive.
you're not only paying for the hardware, you're paying for their time and effort in making them.
And just to have a ROM hack of just this seems like a bit of an investment. But at the same time, if someone did it for cheap, I wouldn't mind. Mm-hmm. It'd be neat to have, especially if someone's like, "Oh, can I borrow Super Mario World?" Yeah,
you just give them that,
and you hand it has a Super Mario World sticker on it, and it has a case, and you're like, "Yeah, just go with that." And then you give them that, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck, bro?"
And then you slide a hand, switch the cartridge when you go to put it in your system. They're like, "What? It works fine on mine."
Yeah, it works fine for me. Anyway, I don't think we didn't have any more of these creepypastas to cover, but I'm glad that we covered what we did. I think it was a nice switch up from the standard episode.
Yeah.
And like we've done 2 Halloween ones, and we've just covered horror titles before. Which, again, nothing wrong with that. I don't mind horror games, but it's just, this was a nice switch up. I like it. Well, with that, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and say our goodbyes.
And with that final demonic video game delved into, the events that led to their demise unfolded. Picture the scene. A dying campfire, a cheap cassette recorder, and the fatal cassette that held their final words. All covered in blood, the spray pattern indicating a violent struggle against a force not of this world. Their bodies vanished without a trace.
No, we're right here.
We're the guys from the tape. We've been sitting here for like an hour. Your peripheral vision is terrible.
Why didn't you say anything? We've been filming for ages.
We wanted to see where you were going with all that bullshit. You've got a really vivid imagination. I mean, deep in the woods, you can see the Costco from here.
But the blood. Why are the tapes covered in blood?
That's not blood. That's hot sauce.
Yeah, this genius dropped our chili dogs all over the place while we were wrapping up the recording, so we went to the store to get some more.
Yeah, we were only gone for about 20 minutes, and we came back to find your whole crew taking pictures of all of our stuff.
You've all got, like, really, really bad peripheral vision. We were 15 feet away.
Wait, it's 2020. Why are you recording on cassette tape?
Because we're retro.
God damn it. Guys, grab the gear. This crap never happened to me when I was on primetime TV. Now they've got me doing this Unexplained Mysteries Files bullshit. I used to be somebody. Who even came up with that name? I could be on my couch drinking scotch right now.
Do you want a chili dog? Oops, I dropped it.
Great. Well, you're going to the store this time.
Should we just record the outro before another one of those crews shows up?
Good idea.
Are you eating that?
The dirt gives it flavor.
Spooky Ghost Law.
Well, I guess that ties up another Halloween episode. So, hope they don't come back.
We really gotta stop recording these in the woods.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Just start recording them at Costco. Anyway, I guess that's all to say after this now is thank you for tuning in. Have a safe Halloween and happy Halloween, and goodbye.
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 Was this a true story? A work of fiction fact that is real, but not true at all? You're wrong. Never happened.
We said get out!